This week on Loyola News Chicago, how students are fighting the food waste problem here on campus. I'm Marissa Devine, more on that coming up.
From the Convergence Studio in the School of Communication, this is Loyola News Chicago.
Hello and welcome to Loyola News Chicago. I'm Katrina Lim.
And I'm Patrick Rabarczyk. Here's the news. Dining hall workers could be going on strike.
What could that mean for Loyola students? Taylor Utzig is here to tell us about the current negotiations and what some students are doing to support the cause.
Thanks, Katrina. Aramark and its workers have been negotiating a new contract for the last 8 months. And with no end in sight, Aramark workers have taken the situation into their own hands. Last Friday, Loyola's workers threatened a week-long strike if a compromise isn't made soon. Some of the demands from the workers include affordable health care, a regular scheduled work week, higher wages, and protection for immigrant workers. The strike is not scheduled, but will take place in the next few weeks if an agreement is not reached. With the possibility of a strike and the shutdown of campus dining halls, many students are concerned. Students for Worker Justice, or SWJ, have submitted a petition in solidarity with the Aramark workers. A member of SWJ says the main purpose of the petition is to gain support and protect the workers while they're on strike.
This strike is only going to be effective if the student body and the faculty are behind our workers. It ensures that they're safe going on strike, that they have a large group of supporters that will make it very difficult for the company to take any sort of repercussive action against them.
Since Friday, SWJ has held a series of speakouts to raise awareness about the petition and impending strike. But the group has more to their agenda. They are also demanding that Loyola reimburse students for meals the week of the strike, specifically students with meal plans. SWJ argues that it's not fair for students to continue to pay when only some of Loyola's dining halls are open. Loyola has not yet responded to the group's demands, but SWJ hopes putting pressure on the university will motivate them to put pressure on Aramark.
Administration, both Aramark and Loyola, know that a strike is imminent. So it's crunch time. If a decision isn't made soon, the strike will ensue, and it's going to be pretty uncomfortable on campus here.
Johnson says the best case scenario is that workers won't have to strike, but if they do, SWJ is prepared.
So, Taylor, do we know how many students signed the petition?
Actually, we do. About over 1,100 students did sign the petition, 300 online and about 800 in person.
Oh, I see. So we'll have to follow up with that story and see if they do go on strike then.
We will.
Thanks, Taylor.
Thousands of students eat at the dining halls every day, but where does the leftover food go? Marissa Devine reports on what students are doing to address the food waste issue on campus.
When students fill their plates at the all-you-can-eat dining halls around campus, they probably aren't thinking about how much prepared food goes untouched and is thrown away at the end of the day. Loyola student government member Kristen Courage noticed how much food was being wasted every day and decided to look for a solution.
So as somebody who's an environmental science major, I was really bothered by this, and I wanted to find an alternative to try to recover some of this food.
Courage decided to start a chapter of the Food Recovery Network at Loyola. The goal is to save leftover food from the dining halls and donate it to local agencies like homeless shelters and churches.
Food Recovery Network is the largest student movement against food waste and hunger in America. Since 2011, it has recovered about 1.19 million pounds of food and hopes to be up to 1.2 million by May. The organization now has 182 chapters in 41 states across the nation.
When the food recovery process gets underway, Courage says it will have benefits on and off campus.
This not only increases the sustainability on our campus, it engages our community, it teaches students, faculty, administration about source reduction, about reducing the food that we consume individually every single day.
Already more than 100 students signed up to help, and more are always welcome. Once the program starts, the volunteers will go into the dining halls to package leftover food and deliver it to local shelters and churches. The program will be up and running as soon as Courage gets confirmation from dining hall providers.
while we're literally going to be feeding people in need, it's also this huge sense of education for the larger Loyola community.
Marissa Devine, Loyola News Chicago.
Recovery chapter was started out of student government, but the ultimate goal is to make it a registered student organization by next fall. According to the Chicago Tribune, the Alliance for the Great Lakes is working to bring voting boxes to the summer Chicago beaches. The Alliance hopes the boxes will help decrease cigarette littering by asking rivalry questions like Cubs versus Sox. Smokers can vote by putting cigarette butts into the boxes. Loyola will partner with the Great Lakes Alliance to study whether the bins successfully reduce cigarette litter on the beach.
It's election season, not only for the nation's primaries, but for Loyola's candidates as well. While Illinois voters broke records, that might not be the same for Loyola's student elections. Aaron Kelly found out why students may not be voting in this year's elections.
Having the freedom to vote means also having the freedom not to vote. According to the Loyola Phoenix, only 27% of the student body voted in last year's student government of Loyola Chicago elections. Many students that we talked with attribute this to a lack of knowledge about the candidates and the elections.
I didn't even know that it was time to vote for them. I didn't know who was running. I know none of the candidates. I'm kind of really in the dark with this whole thing.
I don't think a week is enough time to campaign, especially with the low voter turnouts. I think a lot more people would vote if there were more time to actually meet the people that were running and why we should vote for them and what they were going to do once they were elected.
To vote, I feel like making people more aware of when the election is and making it more known who's running.
Students voted earlier this week for SJLC candidates by email, along with a referendum to ban smoking on campus. Aaron Kelly, Loyola News Chicago.
Once the winners are announced, the current president and vice president will finish out their term for this semester.
Following this week's terror attacks in Brussels, Chicago police have increased security at the city's airports, CTA stations, and other high-profile locations. Mayor Rahm Emanuel said that while there is no immediate threat to Chicago, the city is taking extra steps to keep residents safe. Air travelers will notice a stepped-up police presence at O'Hare and Midway. Amtrak officials are partnering with local law enforcement to keep railways safe. Police urge anyone who observes suspicious activity to call 911.
Students who live on campus have the luxury of rolling out of bed and getting to class in 5 minutes. We find out why some students may take a bit longer. Loyola sophomore Ryan Olsmith commutes 2 hours by train from South Chicago Heights to get to Loyola's Lakeshore campus. With such a long commute, Olsmith often runs into obstacles like participating in extracurriculars.
Usually I can't attend most events because around 6 or so or later, when some events are going on, the trains become hourly, so if I stay till 7, I'll miss the 7:20 train.
According to Loyola's Off-Campus Student Life, or OSCL, nearly 60% of Loyola's undergraduate population are resomuters and commuters who live off campus. OSCL defines resomuters as students who live in the surrounding neighborhoods of Loyola, like Rogers Park or Edgewater. They also tend to live in apartments and used to live in the dorms. Commuters are students who live farther from campus, and they tend to live with their families at home. Each circle on this map represents students' average travel time to Loyola's Lakeshore campus. The smallest circle represents a 20 to 30-minute commute. The medium circle represents a 30-minute to an hour and a half travel time, and the largest circle represents a 2-hour or more travel time. Chemistry major Katarina Dentone travels 1.5 hours to Loyola and experiences similar frustrations to Yule Smith's.
That takes up a lot of time, and also having to carry all the stuff. You have to carry all your books for the day. You can't go back to your room and go get it.
Christina Garcia is the coordinator for Loyola's off-campus student life. She says some commuters worry that their college experience will be harder than what other students face.
It's not going to be worse, it's going to be different. You're going to be dealing with different issues, and so will the folks who live on campus. And so a lot of what we have to do is dispel that idea that there's one type of college experience.
OSCL offers programs like Commuter Connect to help students have fun and relax. The Commuter Lounge gives commuters a place to hang out with each other. Ulsmith says being a commuter may be hard, but it is also very rewarding. He says commuters have their own community and they can even be resources to each other. According to Off-Campus Student Life, if you include graduate students, Loyola's off-campus population totals almost 3/4 of the student body. Some students travel as far as Indiana or Wisconsin to get to school. So Patrick, would you travel that far to get to school or work?
I suppose if it's for a quality education, I certainly would. Coming up on Loyola News, why some people already decided to throw out their March Madness brackets.
And see the large multicultural event that happened in honor of Holy Week on Loyola's campus. More on that when we come back.
There are so many fun things we all can do to be healthier, no matter who you are or where you are. So let's move.
Well, here we go.
Let's stretch in the grass.
What a play!
Let's play tag.
Wow, unbelievable.
Let's jump up and down.
Oh, what a way to finish it.
And most of all, let's eat better so that we have the energy we need to play an hour a day, every day.
Everyone can play. Just go to letsmove.gov to learn more.
Abandoned and lost. From the dark, cold streets of the city to a cage in the local shelter, to heaven, your lap.
The NCAA March Madness tournament is down to the Sweet 16, and there has been some serious upsets on the bracket. Here with the update on your March Madness bracket and more is Tom Hush.
That's right, Katrina. We are in the middle of the madness. Let's look at some of the biggest bracket breakers so far. If you had Michigan State going all the way, this one was a shock to your system. A surprise Spartan loss to 15 seed Middle Tennessee definitely broke up some brackets on Friday, but Spartan fans shouldn't feel too bad. MTSU didn't make it past Syracuse. Anyone who picked Kentucky had their bracket busted with their 6-point loss to Indiana University. Don't worry, Kentucky, there's always next year. And less of a buster, but certainly unexpected, number 11 Gonzaga is in the Sweet 16 after beating both number 6 Seton Hall and number 3 Utah, going farther than most expected. Not bad, Gonzaga. Not bad at all. Even with these big breakers, the usual suspects are still in the tournament. Kansas, North Carolina, and Virginia all made it through as expected. So hold your breath before you start saying Cinderella story. All I know is this is continuing to be an exciting tournament. While the Ramblers aren't in the tournament, there's still some Loyola sports action coming up. The men's volleyball team is in Pennsylvania this Friday, taking on St. Francis. Softball is away at Wichita State, and our track team is down south in Nashville at Vanderbilt University for the Black and Gold Invitational. Good luck, Ramblers. And if you like your Cubs players looking fine, manager Joe Madden has news for you. Madden met with a dozen players on Sunday to discuss clubhouse policies for the upcoming season. When it came to dress code, he had only one rule, saying if you think you look hot, you wear it. Maybe we'll need a Cubs fashion reporter this upcoming season. That's it for sports. Over to you, Katrina.
Well then, I hope the Cubs have a good fashion sense.
Well, I think they seem like really cool guys who know what to wear in the clubhouse, so I'm not too worried.
All right, thanks, Tom.
This Monday marked the second day of Holy Week. Larissa Castillo tells us what Christians at Loyola did to celebrate.
In the final week of Lent, a group of parishioners gathered inside Loyola's Madonna della Strada church to participate in the ceremony known as Via Crucis. Via Crucis, or Way of the Cross, is the Spanish name for Jesus Christ's walk to crucifixion. Loyola's Spanglish Christian Life Community, better known as CLC, organized the event for students and faculty looking to follow the footsteps of Christ. Jesuit Scott Hendrickson believes Via Crucis is an opportunity for the faithful to reflect on their community both locally and globally.
I think it's a wonderful way to sort of embrace the passion as we look at Christ's suffering and we look at who who is in need in our society, who is often neglected. So we do the Via Crucis here in their honor and in their name.
Attendees followed a path that brought them to various stops on campus. The procession began in front of Madonna della Strada, but made stops outside of the Information Commons, the Peace Pole in front of the Cudahy Science Building, and the new statue of Arnold J. Damon. At each stop, followers sang and recited prayers in both Spanish and English. Between stations, a group of students, led by Loyola Andalucia student Javier Llorente, carried a statue of the Virgin Mary. While the event was religious in conception, CLC's Via Crucis had another purpose. It was an opportunity to walk in solidarity with immigrants and support immigration reform. Former student body president Flavio Bravo explained how the Via Crucis and the movement for immigration reform are intertwined.
Especially what's going on a global scale with immigration, a lot of Catholics worldwide are trying to tie in, how can we tie in the Stations of the Cross that Christ experienced with the experience of migrants who are crossing the border, who are crossing deserts.
Following the Via Crucis, CLC held a reception and letter-writing campaign in Mundeleин's Palm Court. Attendees wrote letters advocating for compassionate immigration reform, while a panel spoke about immigration initiatives on campus such as the Magis Scholarship. Larissa Castillo, Loyola News Chicago.
Other Holy Week events at Loyola include a celebration of the Passion of the Lord on Friday and a great Easter Vigil on Saturday.
Easter is celebrated differently all over the world. Javier Llorente talked to students on the Water Tower campus about their holiday traditions.
Loyola is known for its diverse campus. With the holiday weekend coming up, we talked to some international Loyola students who told us about their Easter traditions.
So we have this typical plate that is called fanesca. It's kind of like a soup. It includes around like 12 grains and vegetables. So before, like years ago, we only ate on Thursday. Now we ate throughout the whole Lent, but it's really popular in all the restaurants. All grandmas cook, and everyone are waiting like the whole year to get to Thursday.
I've been to Guatemala before, which is a very famous celebration in Latin America because it's very solemn. There are tourists from all over the world attending the procession of Jesus.
And everyone, I mean elderly people, young people, kids, go and we pray together. And it's like the whole week, not only one day.
As you can see, in some countries, religion and culture go together. Javier Llorente, Loyola News Chicago.
For students who aren't going home for Easter break, Loyola will be having various events and celebrations throughout Easter weekend. So Patrick, how are you celebrating Easter?
I'll actually be part of it in Ohio with family, and then I'll be back here in Chicago with friends and hoping for some better weather.
Great, sounds good.
Coming up, learn how you could get paid to drink beer while traveling the world.
And get ready for a new cafe experience with some of your favorite feline friends. Find out more later in our show.
There are so many fun things we all can do to be healthier, no matter who you are or where you are. So let's move.
Oh, here we go.
Let's stretch in the grass.
What a play.
Let's play tag.
Wow, unbelievable.
Let's jump up and down.
Oh, what a way to finish it.
And most of all, let's eat better so that we have the energy we need to play an hour a day, every day.
Everyone can play. Just go to letsmove.gov to learn more.
Rosita, did you know there's a right way to sneeze? Let's show them, Elmo. Got it. When you feel like your nose needs to give an achoo, this is how you act, this is what you do. Lift your arm up high, bend it toward your face. Sneeze right there in the bendy place. Achoo, achoo. You can do it with ease. Achoo, achoo. That's the right way to sneeze. Thank you.
To learn more about preventing flu, visit flu.gov.
Baseball fans, we are nearing opening day at the ballparks. Elise Haas has the story of a man who literally went the extra mile for his love of baseball and much more.
Whether it was going to your first ball game with Dad, playing catch in the backyard, or learning how to ride a bike for the first time, someone had to be there to teach you the way. And I sat down with a recent college grad who biked to all 30 Major League ballparks for a great cause. Here's his story.
12 different cities I've gone
Matt Stoltz began mentoring kids in high school. And soon after Matt developed a relationship with his third grade buddy Jared, teachers said Jared was more attentive, confident, and engaged in class.
Just having that one person who came to see him, not came to speak to the classmates, but was solely devoted to him, made a huge impact.
So Matt continued mentoring throughout college, and after graduation, he joined with a nonprofit organization that promotes mentoring underprivileged kids through cycling and baseball. But Matt took promoting mentoring children to a new level. He set a goal to bike from the sweeping views of Seattle skyline at Safeco Field to Miller Park in his beloved hometown of Milwaukee, all to raise awareness and money for the child mentoring program Big Brothers, Big Sisters.
Every time he stops at a baseball stadium, he talks about the importance of youth mentoring, and that message couldn't be heard wider.
Matt raised more than $25,000, but more importantly, Matt said he inspired countless people to get involved in mentoring programs.
So you can't put a financial value on someone becoming a mentor, because that's literally changing a life, if not saving a life.
Matt cycled alone and tried to get free lodging from people he met along the way, but many times he simply stopped and set up a place to camp. He admitted that the journey was exhausting, but he refused to give up.
Those kids, the reason they're in that situation is because someone quit on them before, and I'm going to do everything I can not to be another one to add to that list and quit on them. So I find ways to get through it and keep pedaling.
Matt said he loved his time at Chicago's Wrigley Field, but the stadium he looked forward to most was Miller Park, where his journey came to an end. And at the finish line, family, friends, and locals welcomed Matt to celebrate his great success. His passion for mentoring kids began years ago when Matt built a relationship with his buddy Jared. His passion has now grown into a lifetime dedicated to changing the lives of children who need care, love, and guidance. Matt has now started his next adventure in Kansas City, where he's accepted a job working for Big Brothers, Big Sisters.
That's such an inspirational story, Elise. Did Matt talk about how he put it all together and the time frame it took him?
Oh, yeah, I mean, obviously the trip itself took him months to complete, but the time that took to prepare and organize in regards to, figuring out the trails, figuring out ballparks that are playing, and lodging as well, I mean, the amount of time that took on the front end of this is really amazing.
It's so impressive. Thanks so much, Elise.
Oh, you're welcome.
It looks like Starbucks will have some competition this summer when a unique new cafe comes to town. This summer, the Treehouse Humane Society will open Chicago's first cat cafe at Northwestern Avenue in Rogers Park. Besides serving coffee, the new cafe will double as a vet clinic and adoption center. While customers enjoy their coffee, they will be able to interact with cats that are up for adoption. Treehouse hopes this will increase the number of cat adoptions at the shelter and raise awareness about proper animal care.
I think that the main purpose of the Cat Cafe is to increase awareness of Treehouse and the programs that we have, obviously to increase adoptions. So the more people we have interested in the Cat Cafe, the more lives that we're going to be able to save.
The new establishment will be called Cat Fe. They don't have a date yet, but it is expecting to open by the end of this summer.
Microsoft's artificial intelligence has become a bit racist. The tech company launched Tay, an artificial intelligence software which was supposed to learn from human conversations and behavior. After participating in some conversations on Twitter, she started to post offensive tweets and racist tweets by herself. She paraphrased Donald Trump, and on one occasion, she praised Hitler. After that, Microsoft decided to close the project and delete all the offensive tweets. That provoked a lot of complaints from Twitter users. They said that Microsoft should leave the tweets there as evidence of how dangerous artificial intelligence can be.
Are you still looking for a summer internship? This one may be for you. It includes world travel, a paycheck, and lots of beer. Yes, World of Beer is looking for 3 interns to spend the summer visiting U.S. breweries, overseas beer festivals, and writing about their experiences. The internship pays $12,000 and covers all food and travel expenses. Applicants must be 21 and can apply through March 26 at worldofbeer.com. So, Patrick, are you much of a beer drinker?
Well, I'm not, but for that kind of money and to travel the world, I think I would certainly take it up.
Definitely.
That's our news for today. Thanks for watching.
We'll be back next week with another edition of Loyola News Chicago. Have a happy Easter!